when we talk about the homegrown indigenous, products that we are making, I think, Praval, you're the best person to tell us about it as well. From being a consumer of AI to becoming an author of AI, first up, help us understand you built an entire AI stack without the help of Silicon Valley. What did it take? What can, other tech companies really learn from your experience? And even if there are companies that are building indigenously the products there, the problem happens when it comes to scale. That's where the issue also comes in. If you could throw some light on that.
Sure. I would like to build up on Ankit's point that he made. I think and it comes with anything that is going through a hype cycle. Everything in this world is not a large language model problem. First of all, we have to start with that. Every problem doesn't need a large language model. A classic LLM with dozens of billions or trillions of parameters is not what you... And again, what we don't realize and often doesn't get talked about a lot is the energy consumption. Running these large GPUs is not easy. There's an impact on the energy aspect of it as well, which is often ignored in the hype cycle. So everything is not a LLM problem. I'll give an example. If I'm on business travel, we use a product called Zoho Expense to file receipts to submit my expenses, right? Scanning a receipt from a restaurant or a taxi or whatever to gather the fields and the value into my expense management system doesn't need a large language model. An anomaly detection in a classic help desk or a support system doesn't need a large language model. These things can be achieved with narrow and small model languages. And we have done that at Zoho. What we call internally and externally is right-sizing the models. Because everything is not an LLM problem, okay? It's easy because that's what happens when these large consumer-grade LLMs come up, they make it free, everybody gets hooked onto it, we are prompting these LLMs with the simplest of questions. All that is good and fun, but when you talk real business, if I'm a business owner and I'm subscribing to a Gen AI or a LLM platform, I'm paying for it. How do you make it cost-effective? How do you make it sustainable? Is by right-sizing the model. So at Zoho, we have taken this approach. We've launched 3 models so far in the order of 1, 3, and 7 billion parameters. We're working on larger models as well for different problems. But most of these typical business use cases around productivity, around speed, around efficiency, do not need a large language model. We've been able to do it, test it, deploy it internally. Like I said, we dog food on what we build. And now we are doing it with our partners. We're doing it with some of the largest customers as well. On everything from quick ML, anomaly detection, agent assigning to problems. All that doesn't need a really large language model. So that is important to understand. And when you are building it homegrown, the reason I was referring to that was when you're building something homegrown, I wouldn't start building the next OpenAI. Don't start there. Find a niche, maybe find a vertical, as he said. Try to solve problems around one area and then start to solve for adjacent needs. And at Zoho, we have done that with our products, with our platforms. We're doing a similar thing with AI as well. On the other side, building indigenous products from India, as Nitin mentioned, talent is also, upskilling is also very important. There are 2 ways to do it. You go to top tier colleges and hire the top talent and try to retain them, make do with them, work with them. Great, it works for some companies. For Zoho, though, it's been the other way around. We've always gotten students from tier 2, tier 3. I shouldn't even say schools and colleges because about 10% of my colleagues never went to a college. So they were incubated directly from school and they were trained and they work with us. And some of these kids are super smart, and the kind of work they are putting in, So credentials is not important. The attitude and the intent to learn and play the long game, as I said, is very important. So because the problem with India is, and we all know that, it's not something that I'm bringing out from somewhere else, is talent is distributed. Very large country with a lot of people in the country, but opportunities are not. So how do we get those opportunities to talent in tier 2, tier 3 is how we look at building software, platform, and AI as well. So we've taken that path and we are encouraging a lot of other young entrepreneurs who talk to us, want to build the next Zoho or do it our way, We work with many of them, we support some of them, and the idea is to seed that thought that India can be the next technology powerhouse. We have the talent, we have the capability both. It's just the mindset that we need to adopt.